So, Janine, September the 8th. Before I start, I'm going to say happy birthday to my big sister. She won't be watching, but I'm going to say happy birthday to her anyway. You never know. One of these days she might. How's your day been?
Really good, actually. I have a painter over painting, and I'm getting really creative with some beautiful colors, like a few feature walls that I'm so excited about.
That's so exciting. I'm a little bit going green with envy because I've been wanting to get my house painted for ages. So that is so exciting. Can't wait to see that. So lovely, isn't it? When you get that environment right, it makes such a difference.
Well, what I couldn't believe is we made the arrangements, and then he actually showed up right on time and came days after the arrangements were made. I'm not used to contractors being so on the ball. I'm just thrilled.
That's fantastic. How exciting. Well, by very popular request tonight, we are going to be speaking about the Declaration of the People of the United States for Global Peace and Prosperity. So the document that was released by Charlie Ward and Simon Parkes on, I think, Monday. So we were going to start off the show by talking about that, and then we'll see how much time we've got because it's of massive interest to everyone. So where do you think we should start? Should we just start by asking the cards who wrote it?
Yeah, like they say it was written by several people. Is that not?
What I've heard, and I haven't listened to anything today apart from your latest video. So if something's changed today, I might have missed it. So I'm sure the listeners will correct us. But what I heard is they said that it came right from the top of the alliance, and that it was written by several people right at the top of the alliance, and then checked by lots of lawyers. Is what we're being said.
So I'm asking who's responsible. We're going to track it back here.
I just love this. I love being able to ask the cards.
Okay, well, okay, so I'm just gonna say it. I'm getting some good meaning, well-meaning friends, maybe friends, and even relations of maybe Charlie Ward's, and people connected to Charlie Ward's might have had everything to do with it. It doesn't look like, I'm going to just be honest, doesn't look like it goes to the top. There's no going to the top here. I feel like it's even slightly disappointing in some of the way it's been handled somehow, or maybe the wording or something. Something's already disappointing, maybe to people, but actually also to who's presenting it. So maybe they're not telling you that, but I got a feeling they might be disappointed. Now it actually turned out. I feel like they wanted it to come from the top. They requested it to come from the top. I don't think it actually did come from the top. So somebody else put this together that was well-meaning. There's no bad guys here, at least. That's good news. But I feel like it wasn't as a top priority to the alliance as maybe the Charlie Ward and gang thought it would be. And by the way, I really appreciate all the work of Charlie Ward and Simon Parkes and all everybody on their shows. But I'm just reading the cards, and it doesn't look like it came from the source they were hoping it did, let's say.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of that does change everything, because I don't know about you, but I've been having a good read through it, and one, I find it very, very difficult to read. To me, not that I'm an expert in legal documents. Well, I've read quite a lot in my careers, but it's very unprofessionally written, and there's no letterhead, and there's no, I mean, it looks a little bit like a school assignment to me.
I started reading it, and I found it wasn't inspiring. So I'm funny, because if I'm not, I'll just do cards on something as opposed to like reading through the whole thing. I like to let my higher self tell me if that's something I need to do. I feel like it was well intended,
Yes.
and a lot of the things they're saying in there are absolutely things that need to be said. But I did, like you, I felt it a little disjointed, like it didn't have a congruency all the way through, like legal papers need to have.
Yeah.
Where that you can point to, they're using a word over and over, like you were describing.
Yeah. So what I was saying to Janine before is one of the things I put, and we're going to have to be very careful with our words here, but obviously everyone knows what we're talking about. So when they're mentioning in the document about this, in one word, they're calling it an vaccination with a V at the front. And then in another one, they're calling it a shot. And in another one, they're calling it an injection of poison. So there's no continuity when they're describing things, which I thought was strange. So do you think we should ask, would it be a good question, Janine, to ask the cards, do Charlie and Simon think it's genuinely come from the top?
They absolutely believed it was.
Mm.
This is a bit of a rosy colored glasses card. And this card is, they had every trust that it was. So someone might have said they had access to the top and was going to get this written. Okay. And they were so looking forward to it. So everything they're saying is exactly true. Very optimistic and looking forward to it. And then now they're going to see that as they look into it and more people look into it, there's a disappointment. So I feel like it's slightly disappointing. It's not what they were envisioning it to be. It's not as well written as they thought, even though they're not admitting it that yet. They really went into it with every good intention and trusting that whoever the source was that said they were going to get this thing written from the very top, maybe disappointed them.
Yeah. And it's a shame,
but they're not saying that yet, but I think eventually they're going to step away a little bit from it somewhat.
And I don't know what you think, but to me that really makes sense, because you know that we've taught, so much of us that have been doing this work and we've talked about the importance of talking about what you do want, of creating your own reality, not focusing on what we don't want and focusing on what we do want. So it's very, very hard for people, isn't it? Because you don't want to look at something through a negative eye either, because you're trying to move things forward in the right direction. So I think they're caught a little bit between a rock and a hard place, personally. You know, it's difficult. They can't, if they're not sure, they can't really come out criticizing it and disappointing people. So it is, you know, I definitely, when I saw the video that they did, I thought, oh, you know, that they genuinely believe this is what they're waiting for. Do. Yeah,
absolutely. And it was their intention, and intentions are a big part of something. It was their intention that this was huge for humanity. And that's right there, really good positive energy. So to me, that's, you know, that's what I need to see.
Yeah.
But I think whoever actually wrote it, maybe they didn't get it exactly the way it maybe could have been.
Yeah, exactly. So based on that, I mean, there's not one of the things that really surprised me, and I thought, wow, if we're going to show this to wake people up, I was very surprised. So one of the things that it says, and I'll be careful how I said this, but I'd like to do a reading on this if we can, Janine. So one of the sentences is, when they're talking about this, there's a sentence on the last paragraph of the first page where it says, this alone can cause the loss of life in the future of up to 70% of all those persons who have taken the... Now, what struck me is, imagine if you release that statement to the public, it's almost like putting a curse on people, isn't it? It's imagine the fear that would spread. I can't see how that could be constructive in any way. You could say, if they were going to release something, but we've been working behind the scenes and we've counteracted it, and we've got this we can offer to counteract it, so you can release the truth with something positive. But that was an odd statement, because so can we ask why that was put in?
Whoever actually wrote it believed 100% that to be true,
Yeah.
and believes that the is absolutely a way to cull the human race. So
Yes.
they believe that I believe that was the intention, absolutely. But every time I look at it, it looks like things have been counteracted, and there's all kinds of ways that could be stepped back. Yes, we're going to lose some people, absolutely. Yeah. But soulfully, spiritually, those are people that already made an arrangement with their creator and or the creative source energy, life force energy, spirit, greater universe, whatever God, goddess you want to call it. They've already made that arrangement coming in when they're going out. So I never get those kind of numbers are correct, but that's just what I get. And the cards are saying that whoever wrote it really does believe that. Yeah. So they're maybe thinking they're doing a favor to people to let them in on it. Of course, if you are showing this to non-believers, most of them have had or a whole lot of them, and or they got family members who have. So that this would probably be counteractive. They would shut down right now. They're not going to believe that.
Yeah, exactly. So that leads nicely on to my next question then. So I think, probably I haven't got any more questions unless there's anything you want to ask the cards on the declaration, because I think we've covered it.
Yeah.
Good intentions, but not coming from the front. Now, I've thought long and hard about how to put this one, because I've had some very good questions through about the same subject, about this. But I have spent over the last couple of days quite a bit of time, and so have other people that I've been in contact with people who think very differently to us. So people who have had it and are very happy that they've had it. And what's been troubling me for some while, or confusing me is probably a better word, is that actually we talk a lot about the fear vibration and how negative that is and what low energy that is. But the only people who are in fear about this are what we could perhaps label as the truthers and the people watching this. So I'm wondering what the motive is for that, because everyone who trusts what's going on and isn't aware of what we think is going on, they're not in any fear about this. So there seems to be some sort of, I'm struggling to really think how I do this. Why is it that there's a huge amount of fear about it from the people that are on, say, the truther community? Is there anything constructive that can come out of that? Because, we're the only ones worrying about it. The other ones are quite happily getting on with their lives.
Okay, so I think the whole truther community and people waking up and who have already woken up to some degree to what's been going on for thousands of years, they're not trusting anything government issued, pushed on us, and or so they've woken up to, you can't trust big pharma, obviously. I mean, a lot of us knew that anyway. I knew that a long time ago. But some people just figured that out. So I believe it's just a response to, they just know how dangerous things can be. Should have brought some water in here with me.
Have some of mine. Here we are. Look, have a sip.
I think it's the paint. They're starting to paint the house.
Yeah.
And I'm breathing it in, even though I can't smell it yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the whole community is heightened to and sensitive. So it could be stirring that up, because we've just figured out we can't trust almost anybody in an authority position.
Exactly.
A lot of us just figured that out. So I think that's just a natural response, and it may be an over zealous response, but it's absolutely important to not have that, because it's obvious it was meant for nefarious reasons. So just right there, when something's being pushed on you, it hasn't been tested, and all of that's a really good reason not to. So they're just being really adamant about things and careful, and that just makes sense.
It really does. I'm just wondering if there's some way, if the cards can give us a clue as to what we can do to positively raise the vibration in this group of people, because it seems a very negative consequence of what's happening. So yes, you've got to have awareness to know this evil's going on, but equally the level of stress it's causing in people is continual and doesn't seem constructive. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then their further lesson is to move past and just trust. Come into a place of get onto the other side and go, you know what? If someone chose to take it and they might be the booby trap batch that they ended up with, that they made a choice to do that. And they already, this is a predetermined thing. And a lot of people are going to be okay, even though they did have multiple versions of it, right? So there's not, that's my belief. Okay. So some people believe it's all just a huge, I can't say the word, but Jen, the word starts with Jen,
and then the last bit of be by the seaside.
Yes, exactly. Jen by the seaside, right? So they're believing that. And I think we need to say, okay, at this point, that trust has to come in, that the universe is actually watching over good sovereign humans. And our true lesson is created by our own choice as we move through the world, and bring everything back into you personally. Don't project out there on anybody else. If they chose to go the route of putting themselves in potential jeopardy, then they chose that, even if they're your loved one.
Yeah, it's very like,
you got to get over it and let people make their decisions. And even though you absolutely love them, that's what they did. So you have to just trust in their own process and take away you can't control what they do, just like they can't control you saying no to it. Everybody's learning really tough lessons right now. It's not easy.
Such good advice, because I just feel, and don't get me wrong, everyone, I absolutely, I mean, you know, I absolutely would encourage no one to get it, but I do feel somehow we're all being kept stuck a bit, and I feel there might be an agenda behind that, because we're not then diverting all that energy onto positive things. So I think that is brilliant advice, as always, because people are very miserable about it. You know, it's causing them so much stress, and I think somehow we, like you were just saying, we've got to move through that, because otherwise we're not contributing positively to what's going on. You
got to look at the really big picture when things are really scary. You got to go super big picture. And look at, just spend time visualizing the world you want to live in. Spend time realizing that you're only responsible for your own personal actions. Spend time, you know, sending out love in case that love vibration could heal all of these people, for all we know.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's so lovely. Yeah, that's really fantastic. Now, the other one that I've been inundated with this week, everyone. So everyone's been asking about the Kim Grogan, Kerry Cassidy, which we touched on last time. Now, you and Jean-Claude have done a deep dive into that on the pay-per-view on Jean-Claude's website, Beyond Mystic 3, haven't you?
Yeah. I got a profound drop, just download about her whole situation. I'll just sum it up, okay? Literally, it's definitely worth going to watch it, but I'll just give you the meat part.
I'll put the link, everyone, below the video. I'll put the link of where you can click
it's worth it, because we get into all kinds of things. But she has I think mental illness due to, likely triggered by years of, I'm thinking since 8. So she was picked up at 8 by some dubious characters who actually, the more you listen to what she says, is pretty obvious it's dark cult.
Exactly.
Certainly not good guys.
No.
Okay, so dark cult picks her up because of her bloodline, supposedly. Okay, interesting, because she says her parents aren't anybody to write home about, and they're definitely not of any bloodlines. Okay, so where did she come from? She doesn't really answer that. And I know they can manipulate where kids come from. I get that. But like that, it's sort of like one of those things left hanging, like a lot of things. Like she basically gives you as little information as possible, says a whole lot of nothing, and really no details. And it's unbelievable to me that Carrie Cassidy didn't rip her to shreds in that. She was being, I thought, really polite and careful for Carrie Cassidy, because she can be very brutal to be interviewed by. I'd be fearful to be interviewed by her, much as I absolutely, by the way, respect her work and see the good she does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'd be like sweating if I had to be interviewed by her.
Yes, I know you would be.
She'll get in there and pull
Yeah.
it out. She wasn't doing that with Kim. Interesting. Not to, in my opinion anyway, but apparently she goes over the interview, so she might do that on her own, right? But maybe what she was picking up on was, we have a fragile personality here who's been literally abused in every way. And use your worst imagination there, and was MK Ultra 100%, and is probably been recently plucked out of the, because she was like floundering horribly the last several months, just doing ridiculous, I thought, interviews. And then she got plucked back into their little program. They tweaked her and sent her back in there, somehow got her connected to Carrie Cassidy.
Yeah.
And because she has really high up connections, but it's dark cult people.
Yeah.
Okay, and she's literally a plant for the dark cult, and it's pretty obvious, actually, if you're using your brains.
Absolutely, and I think it's really sad. I think you touched on it in there as some things, is that a lot of these people, that they're not conscious of their actions. We've been MK Ultra'd. It's not a personal choice at all. So we also need to have a lot of compassion for them.
Absolutely. And she likely has no idea. She's programmed to believe the stuff she says.
Yeah, exactly. So I love the way this leads on, because this leads on to my next question. So there's a lot of fascination still about bloodlines, and obviously you've covered a lot of other people have covered a lot about Mr. T, American Mr. T's supposed new information about possible bloodlines. Now again, the bloodlines, to me, when I think about bloodlines, I think of deep state. It's their fascination, and I'm wondering again, a bit like this question I just asked, is this fascination and this information coming out to distract the truthers who are investigating and put them on path? So, look here, so you don't look there. Because to me, and this is just a personal thing, as I said, every time I think of fascination with bloodlines, I think of deep state.
So it looks like fascination with bloodlines is not only the bad guys. The good guys seem to like certain bloodlines too. Interesting. Okay, so that's news to me, but that's what it looks like. So they are also, and it probably has to do with certain traits in a personality, or I don't know, abilities maybe, or connected to off-world, because we definitely get in Mr. T's family, there's all kinds of connections, and that includes his wife Melania. Looks like she's been like, she was kind of created, it looked like. That's what Jean-Claude and I got. So I forget what we were calling that, but they manipulate bloodlines to get exactly what they want, and possibly Mr. T was as well, because they basically groomed him unbeknownst to him, maybe up until he was in his, I think, 20s. This is what I was just picking up on with him. So anyway, so it's not just the bad guys, but it's also the good guys that are interested in these things. 6, 7, and the magician. So there does seem to be some information out there that's just meant to confuse.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, but some of it's actually based in truth, and there's reasons behind it. So kind of split that in half. Some of what you're saying, that's true, but I think some of it's for a good reason too.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting, because it just It's a lot of people spending a lot of energy at looking at these things. And again, it just really strikes me that it's a fine line, isn't it, between getting the balance right of research, but also going inwards and working on yourself as well. So it's fascinating how every time we look at these things, there's so much synergy almost between the white hats and the black hats in terms of the universal laws that they seem to be following.
Everything's a reflection.
Yeah.
Okay. So like so above, so below, and all of those sayings.
Yeah.
I don't believe I believe we're literally in a fight against good and evil, but good and evil are the opposite side of each other. So, there's a whole lot of in between that. And there's a whole lot of, reflection going on between those two. It's all fascinating. It's like a huge, mystical novel we're reading together, or watching this mystical movie that's got the fight against good and evil. We've seen lots of movies like that. They were all signaling exactly what's been going on, I'm pretty sure. Absolutely. So it's like, I think the universe also devises these things. If you can be detached enough, not take the world so personally, for your entertainment, amusement, and fascination, and I'm not making light of the hardships, but don't forget that you're an eternal being having an experience in a physical body. So all you can take with you off the earth plane here, you're not going to take your scars, your hurts, but you're going to take your growth, how much you loved, how much you harm you did, that comes with you as karmic, and you'll be repaying that. But you'll be repaid in how much you put out that's loving and trying to do good. You know what I mean? Like just giving of your own wisdom and just sharing experience with other humans, and all of that also comes with you and gets paid back abundantly. Good and bad gets paid back abundantly.
Absolutely. And I'm
sure right?
Yeah.
So whatever you're throwing out there is coming back at you. So you better just be aware of what you're putting out.
Completely. And that's why all of us with cats have got a constant reminder. They keep us on track really well, don't they? They really do. Yeah, the perfect thing. Okay, so that's really, really interesting stuff. Shall we look? Have you done anything this week on what's going on with Australia?
Yeah, I looked at the truckers.
Yeah, look, the truckers, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at that on today's video. I looked at, I got that it's actually doing what they wanted to do, which is get attention. I mean, people are showing me videos and sending me videos of empty shelves, which is very difficult. I get that. Okay. So part of the stocking up warnings, I think, had to do with, because apparently there's going to be trucker strikes in Canada and the US as well. And there's likely, they've been going on in France off and on intermittently, apparently. And all over the world, I'm sure we're just not always hearing about it, right? So write under the comments and tell us in your area if there's any kind of this kind of thing going on with the truck drivers. But what's happening is, the shelves are going bare in Australia. And that's going to, unfortunately, until you make the general population really, really uncomfortable, okay, they're not going to yell. They're going to just put up with the absurdity that's going on. So this is a way to get their attention. And a lot of people might not like it, but as far as I'm concerned, humanity is a little bit thick and kind of needs that kind of a.
I agree with you. And what's so sad is it's nature and the animal kingdom that pay the price often for our slow uptake, basically. For not getting the hint a lot sooner, but that's their journey, and hopefully they'll be repaid in other ways.
And so lovers of those critters and people who aren't getting supplies for their animals and their farming and or just somebody with a lot of animals that can't get their food or whatever, maybe they'll go yelling at their governments and go through, take some steps. People have to, it's hard, and it's a hard line, and it's kind of like tough love, but you're literally in a spiritual war. That's literally a war against good and evil, like good and evil are battling it out. So we have to take action, personal action against our governments, and we have to point the blame squarely at, and it goes way up, like John Claude says, way beyond. Governments are just the minions. Okay, so who's really doing this? People have to wake up to, you're an enslaved race and we got to pay attention. Something's going on, and everybody wake up and pay attention to what's going on. This is big, and it's way bigger than you thought it was.
Yeah, completely. And unfortunately, it's a bit of a generalized human character trait where, you know, so long as there's someone always worse off than you don't necessarily do something about it until it hits home. And, you know, unfortunately, it's now hitting home for everyone. So we have got some questions about Switzerland at the moment, about who is in control of Switzerland, because apparently there have been three main families that have been in control forever. And are they still in, are the sort of three evil families still in control, or have they been ousted? This is from Sally, by the way. Hello, Sally.
Well, they've been ousted. So this is a win for the good guys and a breakthrough win. Okay, it was disappointing and hard won. So it wasn't like simple. So this is in the past, but the ace right in the middle right now, ongoing right now. There's you would call it a win. So the families that have been ruling are put on notice and likely had to capitulate, it looks like, but they're still going to cause as much ruckus going out the door here as possible. They're going to be, but this was only a 5. It's not a major arcana. That's good news. 5s are disruptive, and setbacks. So there's going to be setbacks, and like they're getting dragged out the door basically, because they don't want to give up. Those families do not want to give up what they have in their livelihood, even if it's all's lost already. They're still hanging in there. Do you know what I mean? Trying to keep what they had. You know what I mean? Okay, so this part here. So they're definitely being brought up legally here.
Absolutely.
And also looks like a lot of, so this can be a government card too. I know a lot of people don't necessarily see it that way, but if you look into the numerology of 6, okay, so governments and agreements with and sort of legal stuff. Okay, so it feels like they've been put on legal notice, and some of them might have even been rounded up literally.
Yeah.
Those members.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them have even left the earth plane, or that's the plan for them. So processed is what I've been calling it.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. For those of you, let us know how that's going. Royal family, British royal family. One of my friends saw Prince Andrew out riding his horse in Windsor Park yesterday. Are we imminently going to get some important announcement about the royal family, some catastrophic? Because there's been leaked things in the paper about plans for how they announce the Queen's death. And as I said, a few people have seen Prince Andrew out riding in Windsor Park and things like this. And it's like, how long can we go before we see some announcement?
So they capitulated a really long time ago. Everything's under this. So that's my white hat control.
Yeah.
Okay. So whoever you think you're seeing is they're just keeping somebody riding his horse to look like him. I don't believe that was him. So here we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So yeah, it was this was at least 10 months ago. Yeah. Could even be a year and a bit now. Okay. So we've got people playing the part of. So even this was a younger person riding that horse. It wasn't Prince Andrew. It just was made to look like him. Okay, so this card says we're getting really close to knowing that. So if you're like, what does the universe mean by really close? It's like And there's so many clues, and it's coming out daily. You're going to see more and more clues. Like it's going to be like landslide of info coming out about this bunch really, really soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is still, I'm going to maintain that's they're being puppeted. They got agreements. They made agreements with whoever's left. Okay. And when I used to look at it really close with Prince William, I got that he made the agreement, but then he stepped out of his agreement. So he's likely being processed already. And that's probably why we're seeing that weird long-faced fellow who isn't him. Very, very interesting. But anyway, just a whole different kind of body build, especially in the upper. But that's just my take on it. So they've made agreements, most whoever's left here, to because they want to save whatever's left of their sort of while they're still on the earth plane. They don't want to be outed as, so they're probably going to exit these guys like I got a time ago, and it's already, they're already making noise. We know Prince Philip was exited long before they said he was, and now it looks like they're gearing up for the Queen to go, but she was gone probably a year ago, or at least 8 months ago. That card comes up. So that's
so funny because everyone thinks that all the scandals just going to be about Prince Andrew. And so I think it's quite well accepted now that he's been up to no good, but they really think it's isolated to him. So it's going to be a huge wake-up call, and I think we'll shift everything when some of this comes out.
Yeah, I'm getting, he's absolutely going to be dealt with and be leaving the earth plane through his, because of his, I'm thinking he was a procurer of all kinds of, he was a sort of the head of the trafficking department for the royals, which apparently was a huge organization. Yeah.
He's so stupid though. He's the last person you'd give anything important to. He's not known for his subtlety or his brains. Okay, so we have a very big anniversary coming up tomorrow on the 9th of this month. Are the cards, have they got anything that they want to tell us about the anniversary that's coming up tomorrow? There's been so much in the UK on the TV. There's been so much on the TV for those people that watch it, reinforcing the official narrative.
Okay, so don't you mean the 11th?
Yeah, sorry, 11th. Yeah, sorry, I do mean the 11th, because we say it the other way around in the UK. So so I mean the 11th. Yeah, sorry. So are the cards showing, because we asked about it last week, but I've noticed a huge amount of stuff really reinforcing the official narrative coming out.
Yeah. I've noticed that too.
And so many people believe it. They all believe it.
A lot of people don't, though. Trust me. Like when I ever bring it up in even like social situations, if you just scratch a little bit and just question a little bit, most people have to agree there's something fishy going on there. 10. There's a big intel drop planned. That would be a big secret revealed. Like that would tell you exactly who did what around that date. Yeah. And within 2 days, I feel like there's both sides are going to make big plays. So we got, what are people calling it now? A black swan moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember all the little tricky ways they say it, but so what that is of course that flappy thing and the red color of the flappy thing. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Cups and the Knight of Cups. Yeah, both sides got things planned, and the good guys' plan has to do with info coming out. a really, really clear evidence, actually. But the evidence might be not directly related to, I mean, it all ties in, but it might be more related to certain November date that was an important sort of situation in the US that went really badly and wasn't presented properly. And I feel like that's a big drop coming, and it's a very legal big drop too. So there's something legal going to shift around what that narrative is or was, and that's even bigger, I think. Wow.
So you're still getting that we've got some major things coming out very soon then. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird, you know, there's so much being talked about on the financial side of things, obviously in terms of the audit results and everything. But what I'm really interested to know then from the cards is, with everything that's going on in America with these audit results and everything, are we going to see something dramatic happen this year in the way that America is governed? So not like replacing one for another, if you see what I mean, at the end, but something completely different. Are they going to throw out the old thing? Because we've been talking for quite a while about how we can't just do these incremental changes because it's not going to work. We've got to do something completely throw out the old.
Absolutely. So a big ace. So what you said, yes, that's the plan, is that you might officially know what actually happened, but then they're putting something forward that would create people to make a choice.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the right way to do it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolute. What you said, all the cards were like, yes, she got it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How exciting, because it's, you know, it is really sort of rip up the old plans and let's start again, isn't it? Time, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And everywhere, not just, of course, not just the US, but I guess
I saw you and Ashley's little drive around and everything. So what's happening with the rules and regulations where you are? Have they gone back into?
Well, so the Canadian government then mandated, so they overstepped the provinces and they mandated, okay, the, you know, what's again, okay. And probably because the kids were all going back to school and everything. And so some people are following them and other people aren't. So it's quite interesting. And you can go on Facebook and look up who's, like, there's Facebook groups apparently that will tell you in your local area who's insisting on that federal government mandate and who isn't. And most people are so far, but if you question it, it's interesting. And that's what we were going around doing. We were going around not doing the mandate and empowering others not to, and just to see what we were just getting the feeling, and it felt like way less people were going along with it than the last time we looked at it. But not as many as we'd like, but a lot less, and less people were saying anything if you did walk in, not to going along with it. Oh, I noticed a couple other things. So the social distancing parts, they took all the lines away from a lot of places, and they don't have somebody at the door like they did at first, because, you know, it's costing these businesses so much money, all this extra. Yeah, it feels like they took a lot of the stuff away and just put the sign up.
Yeah, so lip service only.
And then there's always some little bossy boots ready to okay, so I loved that the TikTok guy, and I was talking about this on today's video on Tarot by Janine. There was a TikTok guy from Winnipeg, Manitoba, who said, you know what, if you phone your human rights, which apparently are inundated with phone calls in all the provinces, because way more people than you realize do not want this pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes away your rights. Guess what? And so actual individual businesses are not allowed to mandate things or even follow mandates, even if they're from the government, okay, that actually discriminate against people's rights. So the rights that you're like, so that's health rights. You have rights, health rights. You have, like, there's certain human rights that they're not allowed to trample on, and asking you if you have that or don't have that, or showing your papers for it, is absolutely, hello, we're not a communist yet. Okay. So, and we're not about to become that. Okay. So it's up to us though. It's up to us to actually go enforce those on us. So the more we talk about those businesses, I like to take photos of what things they have on their doors. If they're being really grumpy about it, you could even film them doing that, like whatever. Get out there and talk about it to your people, who's doing what, because they're not allowed to discriminate against you coming in their business, because they want to know about what you did in a doctor's office or didn't do.
Have you seen that brilliant moment going around about it? Sort of said, you know, I phoned my doctor to ask them whether my wife had been vaccinated, but he's not allowed to give me the information because of, you know, confidential.
Yeah.
So I went into the restaurant and asked them to find out for me. And it's just ridiculous, isn't it? It absolutely says it all.
Illegal what's going on. So we need, but no one will care about that unless you care about it. Exactly. And that's the whole white hat op, is get everybody recognizing they have rights and using them again, because we forgot. And we've been letting them, we've been bending over, giving them away. Why? Yeah. Let's stop doing that.
Absolutely. It's so much easier. If anyone needs me to hold their hand, I'm very happy to, because I love it. So yeah. Now, I don't know if this is going to mean anything to anyone outside the UK, but I've got to ask about this one. So there used to be a program on TV called Spitting Images. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's hysterical. So they make these caricature models of famous people. Like there's one of, I wish I'd brought a picture up for you. And it's a real satire program where they're basically taking the piss. They make these caricature models of like famous ones. So Prince Charles has got the biggest ears, like Dumbo and everything, and a huge big bobble nose. And then they take the piss out of their personalities, like you would do for an open caricature. Now, it hasn't been on for ages, because then we went into the age of political correctness, and they're just bringing it back on TV. Now, the adverts are hysterical. So given all the censorship, everyone's gobsmacked that they're allowed to bring it back. Now, could the people behind Spitting Images be some sort of expose? Do you think they might be? Could there be someone good on it? That I'm going to try and find it on my phone to behind it.
You bet.
Oh,
that's an op. And it's also to tell you and signal to you. It's a signal. So there's all kinds of signals actually on television lately. And even the fact that, for instance, I'm able to put things up on Facebook I wasn't able to even a week ago, 10 days ago, all of a sudden. So everything is shifting and getting ready for you to know that the white hats took over everything.
Absolutely. And don't worry, I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to get you the Prince Charles spitting image. Because if you see it, it'll be hysterical.
Can't wait.
Now, I think this is really, it's a satirical television puppet show, but created back in the 80s, and they're just bringing it back. And I just thought, when I saw that, because my mother mentioned it today, and we were like, how are they going to get away? I mean, I don't think you'll be able to see this here, but it is the funniest thing ever.
I love it. I can see it. It's perfect.
And it's got Meghan and Harry in there and everything. And it's so unpolitically correct. So it was very British humor back in the 80s when we weren't politically correct at all. And it's got to be a signaling. It's got to be, because I think they're going to be putting all sorts of things in there to do it. So I might actually learn how to switch my television on to watch that, because it's going to be hysterical. Good. Come on.
I think they're prepping up. I think they're prepping up to out the royals. I really do.
I really do. And if you see, the funny thing is there's not really much difference between Boris Johnson's puppet and him, because it's really, really funny. But it's the type of thing where you're pleased you're not famous, because it would just be the ultimate insult to have that, because they're so good, the puppets, but they bring out all the worst features. You don't want one made of you. So, okay. So my final question for today, because I want something really sort of positive, is have the cards got something that they can tell us that's really, really hopeful that's coming. It's not very well phrased, is it? I think there's been a real lifting of things. I agree with you. I've noticed the censorship thing. I've noticed that I haven't had nearly so much of my stuff fact checked. It feels different. Whether it just feels different because we've actually had a few days of sun in the UK or not, I don't know. But even that, they've lifted. We've spoken about the weather thing, and even that, at the moment, the weather suppression has lifted. So are we about to see something really positive happening for the people all over the globe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to. So I asked the advice for the cards, looking forward to, and this is sort of a surprise. Okay. And it comes, it kind of has a downside because I think it'll be real concrete evidence of what's been going on with, in particular, trafficking of minors.
Yeah.
Because there's children all around the cards, and that some of it's hard and disappointing. But my version of what would be the best thing ever would be evidence of DUMBs or real live pictures of children they're bringing out of there, or because that may seem morbid to some, but it would absolutely give us credibility to what we've been saying. Right. So if they even had like a shot of what it looks like in one of those DUMBs.
Yes.
Before they clear them out, that would be very healing, I'm afraid. Right. So I'm not afraid of looking at scary things because I got a Scorpio moon and I can handle it. And I think, as I know some people can't, and like some people are like, well, you're an empath and how can you? Well, I'm not an empath, actually. I can decide to be. I have really great boundaries, and if I decide to open up to everything somebody's got going on, I will, because it's my tool, and I can absolutely, but I can also shut it off, which is brilliant, and why I do what I do for years and years and years and years and years on end, my whole lifetime, actually. It's why I do what I do, and daily. Okay, because I know how to shut it off and actually have fun too. And that's a brilliant thing to learn. I'm not always at the whim of the universe, can't always use me. Okay, I tell it when, okay, I'm ready to work.
Yeah, fantastic. And you know, I think it would be really positive because I think most humans have got so much love and energy to give into helping others. And I think if something like this came out, I think there would be such a global outpulling of pulling together to help, that suddenly, you know, we talk about the Schumann resonance, we talk about the energy. I think something like that would absolutely unite everyone who's not on the dark side so quickly. And then I think we'd see such a spike in energy that it would just move everything forward in a quantum leap rather than these little incremental steps. Because I don't know a single person on, you know, whether they believe in any of this or not. If some of that comes out, they will be putting themselves forward to help in whatever way they can.
And it's actually, it summarizes the real fight in the background. Is literally we're being targeted not only by off-worlders as well, underworlders, so demonic kind of like lizard folks that live on the earth plane with us, apparently lower vibration, okay, like vrills and what, who knows what, and then people that behave like and or have become like those energy. They've been feeding off us humans. Okay, that's really what's going on. Okay, never mind all the politics. That's what's going on. And so it's all about the fight for us as a feeding ground. We're not, and we're not going to be it. We're not tolerating it.
No, I'm too tough now. They don't want to eat me. Take the younger ones. So no, I didn't mean that at all. But I think it's really important. There's definitely a shift. There's lots of good things coming out. I think when we spoke last week, there was a lot of like nitty gritty that felt awkward. And this week for me, I don't know if you feel it, just feels so much more positive. Yeah.
And even that proclamation that came out, I mean, if that helps somebody
Exactly.
feel better about everything and puts it in words for them, well, great. That's worth doing then. Even if it could be slightly disappointing to some people and not as slick as we'd like it to be. Okay, whatever works, and anybody, or at least they did it for the good of, and they had good intentions behind it. And so that's okay with me.
Yeah, and it has got a lot of people putting together, and it's raised a lot of people that were down. It's raised them up with some hope that something's happening. And there's, as you say, it's all about the intention behind these things, and we're pretty sure the intention behind that was so positive that the rest doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we can't wait to see the colors of your walls and everything. You can give me some inspiration. Really, really exciting. Have a brilliant week. Let's see what the next week does. Have you got any exciting things happening personally this week? Have you got any trips or anything?
Not that I know of, but my daughter unexpectedly visited last weekend, which was super fun.
Oh, lovely.
Super fun. And she inspired me with some of the colors. She's quite an artist. So my actual bedroom is eggplant.
Lovely. I love eggplant.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Well, enjoy. We're enjoying a bit of summer over here, which has put a smile on everyone's face, and we'll